Hey everybody, it's Ryan from Pi Records, and I'm here with Hunter King from Storm Surge of Reverb. How are you, Hunter?
I'm doing great.
I've been drinking coffee all day, so I am ready to go. And like from like 9 a.m. to like right now, which is 9 p.m. our time. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yeah. It's a laid back day for the most part. We're heading into New Orleans summer, which is brutal, but we're not there yet, and that's what matters.
So, first, for people who may be listening who don't know your history, tell me about how you started Storm Surge of Reverb and what was your mission.
I'm gonna give you. I feel like I've had an elevator pitch, but I'm gonna try and do the long version. So let's see. I mean, I guess there's three parts to this. I'll probably add more as I go. um, I guess to some extent, there's how I came to like surf music, which I feel like is a question almost everybody wants to know about each other. Which was basically more or less that a friend of mine left a Dick Dale CD in my car, and that was pretty much it. I was just like, this is amazing. I was listening to, even though it's a vocal track, King of the Surf Guitar especially just took me away. Like the sound of it was that greatest hits record. I think Rhino put it out.
The blue one with Dick on the surfboard.
Not the blue and yellow one. It's like gray and purple and green, I think.
Okay. With the red
Yeah.
font.
No, not that one. Huh. But yeah, I mean, it was a Dick Dale compilation though. And yeah, I just got sucked into it, and then over time I was picking up Los Straight Jackets, Man or Astroman, yeah. And so then when I was in college, and this I actually don't really know my timeline. I don't know if that was high school or if that when it like was a summer in between college. I know I listened to that in New Orleans, but I went to college I went to Wesleyan University in Middletown, Connecticut, and I knew right away that I wanted to do college radio like instantly. But they had a culture there almost of like everybody was doing what we at WTUL call specialty shows. They had a lot of people. I feel like doing a freeform show, as they called it, was like being undecided as your major. Like everybody had to choose a little thing to jump into. They didn't actually have to, but I just felt like there was a pressure within the station to do it. Mostly just because we had some amazing shows like that. This station was WESU, and I actually understudied under this guy Rockabilly Willie, who's sort of my radio godfather. He people think that I'm hyped up during my show. He was next level, man. I'm nothing compared to him. He'd have all these phrases that he'd do. He'd go, man, oh man, smoke a Roy Tan, and like he'd lead into a song like, all right, we're greasing up my hair. We got our gel. We got comb it. He's and so I tried to get a little bit of that from him. He definitely showed me that there was an alternative to sort of the NPR voice that I feel like is a plague amongst college radio DJs. Like I've met really energetic people that as soon as they're in front of a mic, they start whispering and I don't know. It's and in the case of a surf show, you can't really do that. Like I feel like the music's so high energy that I'm just trying to keep that energy. I feel like whenever I jump into the mic, the energy level is slowly going down. And if I can at least keep my energy level high, then the slope will at least be less drastic. So that's why I tried to, I guess, take some of that from Rockabilly Willie. He actually passed away, unfortunately. Every year I donate to WSU, listing him as my favorite show. He played surf every once in a while too. He'd play El Aguila by the Astronauts almost every week. Oh wait, no. I think he played the Al Casey. No, the Al Casey did that song. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, I guess that was sort of the genesis of Storm Surge of Reverb. It was, it was at WESU, and I just decided surf was it. And it took, I had decided on that probably a full semester before I actually did a show, because I didn't want to look like a total idiot. I would say I did look like an idiot at the time. I figured idiot was unavoidable. That's kind of what the whole radio personality was about too. I'd rather like go full force idiot rather than trying to sound cool idiot. So yeah, and then so eventually I made Storm Surge of Reverb, and the name was a sort of reference to my hometown of New Orleans. This was like 2007, or maybe it was 2006 that I started the show. No, I think it was 2007, early 2007. So this was immediately post Katrina. I was very homesick. And so Storm Surge is a hurricane term. So it was kind of a way to bring it back to my hometown a little bit.
Interesting.
And at the time, I think it was an hour show, which was a lot more manageable. But, yeah, and then I graduated, and I immediately went to WTUL because I loved college radio, and WTUL was the station that I grew up listening to. But I was like, I'm never listening to surf music again. I'm so burnt out on this stuff. And then it just sort of crept back in little by little, and then I started Storm Surge of Reverb back up again, all over again. And the other part of this too that was kind of happening too, I was listening to all sorts of music. I was music director for WESU for 2 years. So I was listening to all sorts. I listened to a lot of punk in high school. And first of all, I burnt down on a lot of music just from being music director. It'll exhaust you, just having to listen to all the stuff coming in, and even the good stuff starts to sound the same. So I went into surf music. But and the other thing too, though, I just like, I was listening to a lot of post-punk and stuff, and I really loved Sonic Youth. I still love Sonic Youth, but just really like, a lot of my friends were in noise bands, experimental music, and I just kind of got sick of the artifice. I've also never been good at listening to lyrics. I've never been able to understand them. My brain doesn't parse them well with music. And at one point I just like sort of broke down, and it was like a spiritual awakening, just sort of discovering the simplicity of rock and roll, just the simple raw emotion of not just surf, but garage rock. I think surf is even more direct since it's instrumental, but I was also the Oblivions play 5 songs with Mr. Quintron. That was like a really important record for me at the time. It actually was a spiritual record, and I was feeling like I was having a spiritual awakening of rock and roll. It was, and so yeah, I like just being in college and hearing people talk about music, and it was even people that I really liked. I just kind of felt like they were saying nonsense. And I just liked hearing music that was just about feeling good, having fun, dance moves, etc. Yeah, I could probably say more, but I don't know which direction to go in. But that was a pretty thorough explanation, I think. And so, yeah, that was the radio show. And then eventually I tacked on the website arm, which to some extent was just kind of an SEO thing. It's like I had my radio show and I was trying to get the word out. And, there's a ton of great surf radio shows out there. And I was like, why would anybody listen to me over like John Paul or some of the other people that have been established in doing this for ages? And so I kind of thought, well, first of all, I'll post my playlists on this website, and people Google their bands, they'll see that I'm playing them. And then I was like, well, I'm already like scraping the bottom of the barrel looking for new surf music. I might as well tell people about it. And then I started writing reviews of literally every surf record I could find for a little while. And uh, and eventually burnt out. The past like 2 or 3 years, I've certainly not been doing that. I it was kind of, I had a nice schedule for doing it, and that has been thrown out the window. Uh, but that was, you know, it was the same idea. Like if I just write about all of this stuff, then, you know, people will find me. uh, and that was kind of the idea behind it. It was a little bit of a writing exercise, you know, trying to come up with something to say about every surf record, especially trying to keep it positive, because
Yeah.
I don't want to, you know, trash anybody. But yeah, that's a lot. Sorry, it's
No,
a bit of a rant.
but it's funny you say it that way because my wife Jenny does reviews on our channel,
Mhm.
and I interview bands. That's kind of our niches, and I never my goal is to say only positive things about everything people send in,
Yeah.
whether it's something that we're into, it, you know, it's to help the bands, you know, like the
Mhm.
bands send us something and want their feedback. You have to look at it objectively rather than just, you know, oh, that's not my kind of music, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know, people put a lot of effort into making records. They spend money on it, especially, you know, it's not like somebody else is fronting the money in surf music. Uh, you know, it's a lot of work to put in an album. My wife is a musician. You know, I've watched her do it 3 times, four. No, it's rough. You know, it's uh, there are definitely. I mean, there are plenty of albums that I don't like. But uh, I kind of think about like uh reality shows. You know, there's that phrase they all use in reality shows, like, I'm not here to make friends, and no,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm here to make friends.
yeah,
Like, I'm the opposite.
yeah. It's much more. Um, it, I find that a lot of people that I talk to about surf music, it's more about the relationships that you make with the people that you talk to. I
Hmm.
mean, you know, everybody helping everybody, and that's one of the great things about the scene is that just everybody from all over the world just kind of needs to be connected. I think,
Yeah, yeah, and
because we're all alike.
it was in that, you know, you and I think we're in great positions for that sort of thing too. Like, I when I went to Surfer Joe, I was just blown away that, like, you know, people in Europe, like I'd meet them and they'd be like, "Oh, I wanted to meet you." And I'm like, "Whoa!"
You
uh,
kind of don't know until like you experience that, right?
yeah. Uh, I just, you know, I don't play music. I'm y'all are making the music. You know, y'all are doing the cool stuff. But I think you and I have put ourselves in a unique position where we're kind of able to be the connective tissue between a lot of these people, which is really uh, it's got its. I'm not making any money, but
No, me
it
neither.
reaps its own rewards. So
I get to sometimes go see Surfer Joe and meet him and Slowy in the boats, and I got to shoot Vincent from High Tide
mhm.
DJing with his wife Magdalena, like things like that on the East Coast that I can do right now. I'm doing. I would love to travel, but you know, we'll see how long that takes to get to that point.
Sure, and I gotta say too, like I'm not, despite radio and I don't know, people I'm actually not that much of like a social person generally. Yeah, I survived the lockdown just fine. But um I gotta say, like, going to, you know, some of these festivals has been absolutely worth for me. And again, I've got a little bit of an advantage being a little bit of a public figure within the scene. But like going to them more and more and meeting people and like eventually kind of pushing myself out of my comfort zone,
Yeah,
it's been worth it every time. You know, just I've made friends across the world, which is amazing. And one thing that's been really cool too is I've had people like visiting New Orleans and just say like, "Hey, I'm in a surf band. Let's meet up." Like, I'm like, "Cool, that's great." You know, like, it's much more likely that they visit me than them. It feels like, you know. So you don't get a lot of people touring surf bands through here, but you know, people vacation in New Orleans. So,
yeah, totally. Oh, I have something to show you before we go any further.
oh sure. What is this?
It's a transmitter tube
Oh wow.
for my dad's radio station.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Huh.
It's an AM transmitter
Okay.
tube.
Yeah.
And over here I have the VU meter from my parents' radio station.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
You can tell how old that thing is.
Yeah. I wonder if you can hook it up to anything. I'm sure it's pretty simple, but
I don't know.
yeah.
It's got no place to plug anything in. I don't know what it is.
Uh-huh.
But I thought you might be interested in something.
Oh, always. Yeah. I am I was the tech director for our station. I've since ascended to a higher nebulous position of tech. um, but I love radio in general. It's you know, I love surf music, but I also like, you know, I am a record collector before I'm a surf person. Uh, and I'm a radio nerd too. You know, it's all a synthesis of different things.
That was one of my first jobs working for my dad, was being on air, and I would spin polka records.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. So because I'm in Pennsylvania, there's a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch that are into the polkas.
Sure, yeah.
So that's where I started. And then I went to college for music, but and here I am now doing a quasi radio thing.
Uh-huh.
Again, it's kind of like
Yeah, radio has big air quotes around it these days.
Yeah. Because you could get it anywhere now.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
get that same type of show. What I like about your show, though, is that, like the others, Jean Paul's, Dottie's, Shaking Cats Radio, you guys are out there actively searching, and you find these things. Like, you're ahead of the curve, and that's what radio used to be about before, the record companies used to,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
payola.
And it's I don't know, like that's what gets me excited, especially like when my show is 2 hours, man. It's difficult to put together a 2 hour show on a weekly basis. And so like I need that new stuff. I need to fill time. I want the new stuff. That's naturally who I am. I almost have like horrible listening habits in general. Like if I love an album, it means I'll listen to it 5 times, which is like that's like I feel like that's how many times people decide that they don't like an album. But like I don't know, I just consume music at a stupid pace, and that's not a brag. I actually think it's an unhealthy way to listen to music. I feel like I have not fallen in love with an album like I did in high school, where I just like listened to it for a week on repeat and just get immersed in it. That has not happened in decades for me, and I miss that sort of thing. But that's just not how I operate anymore. I just always have to hear something new, surf or otherwise.
I think one of the things that your listeners and my listeners might not know is that there are probably 100 times more bands that are undiscovered
Mhm.
by people like you and I, than people know about. There's just so much, and all you have to do is kind of, just Google it, and you find this list of all these bands, and there's just, I just think it's a way to connect people,
Yeah. I kind of like when we're doing our fundraiser, I pulled this line out a lot, but I kind of feel like for a genre as seemingly obscure as surf, if I can like consistently come up with new stuff and fill a 2-hour show on a weekly basis, like that's the case for most genres. Like
Yeah,
even if you don't like surf, whatever you're into, like it the it's infinite. Like music, there's just an endless sea of it. Like
that's what's
however,
cool
like
about
whatever you're
finding
into,
new
just
stuff.
dig. You can dig forever.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So before we run out of time, my Zoom just gave me
Oh yeah,
running
I
out
saw that too.
running. Oh, you saw that?
Yeah.
So before we get cut off, I wanted to thank you for coming on the show and give you a chance to say something to our listeners and anything that might be coming up with your show or Storm Surge of Reverb.
Oh man. I feel like whenever I have a theme for my show, it's usually like the idea for it comes like 2 minutes, I mean 2 weeks in advance at most. Like I always have like a sort of playlist tab on the side where I'm filing away weird ideas for a show, but I don't have one yet. So I guess just listen on WTUL, Storm Surge of Reverb, Mondays 4 to 6 Central Time. Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't have any special things coming up necessarily.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hunter. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too.